the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
This is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Extron, industry-leading technology backed by world-class support.
This is Tim Albright with AVNation, a look at the women of AV. I am your host. With us today to talk about her journey is Eboni Green. Welcome, ma'am.
Hey, thank you.
You and I got to be connected through a mutual friend, Alicia Henley, so I'm very glad that she connected us. When we start here, we kind of take a look at kind of where you ended up in the industry. It's a common question. A lot of folks will, sitting around a trade show booth or a bar in the hotel lobby, how did you get in the industry? A lot of folks come through music. A lot of folks come through theater. A lot of times you just fell into it. So the question is from Eboni, how did you get involved in the AV?
I think the answer is all of those.
Okay.
I'll start with I kind of fell into it. So both of my degrees are actually in audio production. I have a Bachelor of Arts from Howard University in audio production, and then a Master of Fine Arts from Middle Tennessee State University in electronic communications and recording arts and technologies. So I'm actually a mix engineer by trade. I haven't touched a board in years. I have no desire to do so. But when I graduated, or probably a few weeks before I graduated, I found myself at someone's house helping him literally connect his MacBook Pro to like a Digi O2 or something like that. Like he couldn't figure it out. And I just did the things and someone else was there who happened to be the cousin of international artist. So he was like, I've never seen a woman do that. Literally put the chords together. And 2 weeks later, I was in Sweden on tour as a mix engineer with this artist. And from there, I finished my grad school work, did some advertising, realized the opportunities that existed in event production and content creation, and built a production company. So right now, I own 2 entities. One is strategic communications for the public sector, and the second one is this event production firm for the private sector.
I love the fact that because she said DGOO2, and so those of you who are not paying attention at home, those are for those of us who are old school Pro Tools lovers, and God love you for putting that together and bringing that up, because that warms an old radio guy's heart. Because that's exactly what we used to interface with between an analog board and our Pro Tools rigs. When you kind of had that path, and Sweden's a different environment than the States, right? Eboni, you're a woman of color. You're also a woman, right? So what sort of hurdles or barriers did you come up against in the industry?
So I think my hurdles and barriers are unique. I am a naturally gifted, naturally talented person, and I don't say that in an egotistical way at all. It's just the way my brain works. I can pick up things, I identify gaps, I fill them, I create solutions. It's a thing. But the hurdles are, just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I know all of the steps that it took to do it, right? Like, so once I went to summer school for math, teacher called me up to the board. I was asleep. I woke up, solved the problem, like walked up to the board, looked at the problem and solved it, and like tried to go back to my seat. She was like, you didn't show your steps. And I didn't know what the steps are. How does that present itself in the AV industry? So I'm in Sweden. I'm on tour with this artist. I'm doing these huge events, and people walk up to me because I'm doing the thing and ask me a very technical question. How does the something hook up to the something? How does the womp hook up to the wobble wobble? I don't know. I could just do it, right? And so some of the hurdles I've experienced are because very often do not garner the respect of those who have spent 20, 25 years perfecting their craft, because I'm an owner. What I do is go in and look around and say, what can be done here? What does not exist here? And then I am boo-booed or hushed because I don't have the certifications or I don't have the things, but that's because I'm a visionary. And then because I am able to get these really cool projects and do these really cool things, I'm able to bring on board and build teams of the experts and those who carry the expertise and understand the steps. But sometimes I'm kind of, and many times I've been elbowed out or even, backs turned to me because I didn't come the traditional way. I didn't come the right way. I didn't follow all the steps. And so you don't deserve to be here. I spoke at Avixa a couple months ago. Of course, it was not a lot of people were there, but what I was told several times was the topic that I chose and the topic that I presented, of all the topics that were there, was one of three that was actually sold out. And so being able to come in to an industry or come into a place and not look like anyone else, not operate like anyone else, not speak like anyone else, and then do something good, but sometimes have that be the one thing that I do, because people will not, or the systems that be will not allow me to enter into the machine because I don't qualify to be in the machine. That's a hurdle. And the good part about it is I'm able to be very choosy and picky about the projects that I take on. I don't like calling it a bad part. Maybe the challenge is that it's more difficult to build a contract machine or that steady revenue stream that most business owners would want, which is again why I have two businesses.
Yeah. Talk for a second about that getting into the machine. How are you able to overcome some of those hurdles, or can you? Because what you're saying here, and correct me if I'm wrong, it almost sounds like you sometimes get pigeonholed into one lane. Like this is what we know Ebony does. This is what she should do. She should not deviate one way or the other. And when you try, how do you get out of that area where folks see you as one thing and this is what they know you for? But when you start expanding, right, and branching out, how do you kind of break out of some of those molds?
Well, it's less about being pigeonholed and more about not being visible, not being
Okay.
not being seen as a part of the
Yeah.
whole that exists. The reason that I went away from pigeonholed is because usually when people come to me, they're saying, we want to do this thing that hasn't been done before. I know who can do it. Ebony can do it. Ebony can figure it out. Ebony will have the ideas that can do it. So how do I keep from being sidelined, if you will? The best form of marketing is still word of mouth. And so with the projects that we do, my team and I just make sure that we do, our baseline is excellence. We're doing just above and beyond. And what happens is people say, we see what you did here. We see what you did for this brand. We see what you did for this tour. We see what you did for this organization. We want you to come and do it for us. Now, there's some magical and mythical contract machine where all these huge production companies know exactly what's happening and when it's happening or where it's happening. One day I'll have access to it. I don't have it right now. So what I do have access to is my portfolio of very pleased clients who make sure that when they hear of other people who may have a similar need, they recommend me. And that's what we're doing for now until we have access to the machine and can infiltrate the machine and use the machine as a tool to continue to grow the company.
When you talk about the contract machine, there are certain elements. There are, obviously, big business, and there are folks that are kind of long ingrained in there. If there's somebody listening to this that is part of that wants to help, how do they do that? Like, how do they reach out? Not necessarily specifically to you, obviously, reach out specifically to you, but how do they help in general to get people who are, part of a minority or part of, not the traditional thinking process even?
Such a great question. I love that question. I'm a bit of a storyteller. I hope you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of our clients is Salesforce, and they wanted us to do some. It was a combination of event production and strategic comm for one of their brands, their international brands. We were up against huge companies, like huge. And we ended up being, of the 5 people that got shortlisted, we ended up being number 3, or tied for number 2, somewhere around there. But so he said, sorry, I wish it had worked out. I said, as a little pushback, I said, you know what would be helpful is if you allowed us or prompted the company that won to allow us to subcontract for them so that we could learn on the ground what a contract or opportunity of this magnitude, of this size, looks like, how it works, how it feels, how it functions. If larger companies or companies who are familiar with the wheel, familiar with the machine, familiar with the industry, and are kind of tired of it being the same thing over and over, invite in to your meetings, to your strategic planning, to your pitches, to your proposals, make part of your team organizations or entities that are doing something differently and can be a value add to you. That's one of the things that we're doing now. Even though I'm talking about the machine, my partner and I are saying, really, we just kind of want to be behind the scenes. We know that what we do is not only a value add, but it's an industry leader. And what we want is for people to sell what we do. We'll just be your back end. We'll execute for you. You take our stuff, and we'll wear your shirts. We don't care, but sell our stuff so that we can understand how it works, how the inside works, and how we need to build our team for performance, for metrics, for scale. Build every aspect of the org chart so that it works within the system. So the answer to your question is, the question is how do people help? And the answer is put us on your team, make us part of your world so that we can understand and grow within the world.
Yeah, that's such a good answer, and you're right. And some of that is as I've learned over the years of trying to be more inclusive in kind of our the folks that we have on our weekly programs, is some of that's also intentional, right?
Yeah.
That's an intentional decision, because if you look like me, right, you get into a rut. I have found, and so you have to be intentional in that. One of the things that we ask folks is take a look and at your retirement party, which you are nowhere near that. But when you retire, when you lay this down and you go wherever it is you want to go, what do you want to see have changed in the industry?
Another incredible question. A few years ago, I was talking to someone about bringing more women into the industry, showing them the opportunities. As a kid, I was not playing with Barbie dolls. I was playing sometimes touch football, sometimes tackle football, climbing trees and things like that, which is, neither here nor there.
No.
But the point is, I would have loved to have known that there was a job where I could climb ladders and put lights in ceilings, and hang speakers, and just do all the cool things that people don't even see. And so what I wanted was to build an organization that introduced girls and young women to opportunities that they probably didn't even know existed. I've been behind the scenes at networks and things like that, and to see the hundreds of people that it takes to do what looks very simple when you walk in the door or when you watch it on the television or on the screen, it's enthralling. So I do that on both sides of my businesses. On the strategic communication side, we work with a lot of engineers. We're doing a lot of water and transportation infrastructure, storytelling. I want more people to know what it takes to get water delivered to your tap. How do we tell that story, and how do we introduce those people to those careers? In the same way, what I want by the time I retire, from both places, is for more people to know what opportunities exist that they would not have had access to if somebody didn't tell the story of what happens behind the scenes, and profile the people and expose them to career opportunities that they wouldn't have known unless somebody said, I'm going to tell this story so more people know about it. So when I lay it down, when I sell it, when I give it away to my, legacy or whatever, I want more people to know and to be a part of the industries that have been silent for way too long.
I think I know what at least what one of your answers will be on this, but the second part of that question is how do you, Eboni, affect that change?
I think it's through intentionality, like you said. From the time I walked into what would be my career, I was always looking around to see how I could bring more people in. As a matter of fact, that's what my network knows me for. When I get an opportunity, it's an opportunity for me to bring more people into that opportunity. It's, I have an organization, I have a nonprofit. It's called the Determined Fund. And I am determined, I'm going to use the money that comes in to expose people to pathways and to roadmaps into places that they had not considered before. And so I think if everyone had this sense of intentionality, obviously we're in business to generate revenue, we're in business to create lifestyles for ourselves. But I think if we thought about it more deeply, it could be bigger than us, not just for legacy to leave a company for someone, but a legacy that opens doors and creates pathways for more people. So the concise answer is intentionality. It is continuing to create ways and create even ways for my partners to allow to make sure that someone is accountable for bringing people in that are underrepresented, that don't have opportunities, that don't have access, and not just show them how they can get in, but prepare them. One of the things as a business owner that has been one of my biggest frustrators is people say, I walked you to the door, it's on you from here. You did not tell me what was behind this door. You didn't tell me what the expectations were behind this door. You didn't tell me who I was going to be meeting with, what questions they were going to ask. Did you expect me to just tap dance when I walk through the door? Like, there is the accountability that I'm talking about is this preparation. There are door openers, but the best door openers are the ones who walk you to the door. And as they're walking you to the door, are preparing you for what's on the other side of the door. So when you walk through the door, you're prepared to take on whatever it is on the other side of that door. And that's what I want to see. That's what I want my legacy to be.
That right there is a incredible place to leave it, because I got nothing else there. Eboni Green, anything else I say is just going to be stupid. Thank you so much. If somebody wants to connect with you, how do they do that?
They can email me, and I'll give you my email address, and hopefully they can put it on the lower third, or go to my website and fill out that contact form. But yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone with questions, answers, suggestions, anything.
All right, very good. Eboni Green, thank you so much. For us, for AVNation, go by our website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv. You'll find this program. You'll find the links to her website and her email on there as well, and a whole lot others. So all that and more at avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.